Hi, my name is attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III. I'm with Disability Resolution PA. What we're going to be doing are videos from a list that I've pre-created to go ahead and explain basics of how the disability process works. All right, so let's go ahead and begin with the first question. What I'm thinking during the initial phone call with a future disability client. All right, so what am I as an attorney, a disability attorney, thinking about you, the potential claimant, during an initial phone call with a future potential disability client. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that. First thing, I'm thinking when I hear your voice, okay, how old do you sound? Is this somebody that's potentially in their 60s, 50s, 40s? Where are they on that? Is this a younger claimant, etc.? Is this potentially a kid claimant that's in their 15, 16, 17, 18 years of age area? And once I get through the mental evaluation with the age, I ask the age, things like that. Then we go into the 5 steps of control process analysis to see whether or not you would, fail one of the basic elements in order to be found disabled. So let's go with the first one. Okay, so the first element would essentially be, are you earning too much per month? So I ask you, okay, how much are you earning per month? If it's over this amount for SGA for 2019 or 2020 or 2018, whenever you're watching this video, then at that point I would say, okay, are you likely to stop working in the near future or reduce your hours in the near future? Now, with a lot of the administrative law judges, if you are working at all, they're going to try and deny you. So that's just how it works. Just understand that ahead of time. Unless it's a job where you get a bunch of accommodations and it's part of some program, like Goodwill or whatever, then they're probably just going to deny you. All right, the next question I look into is, okay, well, how long have you had, your most severe impairment? And then we start going into, okay, well, what's your most severe physical impairment? What's your most severe mental impairment? Of the two, which is worse? And then I want to know your most severe impairment, the worst one of all of them. Walk me through it. Okay, so is this impairment, has it lasted a month? Has it lasted 2 years? Will it last 12 years? Will it last a year? Will it be, something that you die with, etc.? So I kind of go through that analysis to figure out exactly where you stand with that. Then I go over to the listings and I say, okay, let's see, where are they on this? What are some of the elements that are required? So if they say, well, I've got this or this or this or this or this or this or this, and I'm start thinking, okay, well, what are the physical things that are required by the listings to show they have this particular ailment? What kind of medications are they taking? What kind of devices do they use to assist them? Whether it's some sort of robotic hand or it's an orthopedic device that's like a wheelchair or a walker or whatever. So I started to do this analysis to see what elements they're actually be meeting and which ones we're going to have to go ahead and work on. Now, if, for example, I say to somebody who's got, back issues, and I'm like, hey, okay, well, have you had a prescription for a wheelchair or a walker or 2 crutches or a cane? And they're like, well, I'm not that disabled. Then boom, right off the bat, I know that A, they've got an ego issue, which will have to be either worked out of them if it's a good claim, or B, let the fish go back into the marketplace because we do not want that fish. Okay, that's a bad disability claimant, because then they're not that disabled. You can imagine why. Then we go into kind of the other elements, which are, step 4, which is, okay, well, what other types of jobs have you done in the national economy? So have you done jobs pertaining to, this kind of title? Have you ever, managed individuals? Have you ever, basically, taught other people what to do, handled, the schedule, handled hiring, firing? I'm trying to assess how skilled you were at the prior jobs that you had, because that matters for the vocational analysis that comes at step 4 and step 5 of the 5 steps of control process, which are just element 4 and 5 of the 5 elements we use to see if somebody's disabled. I'm also thinking at this point, okay, what grids might they fit into? We call them griddings. If you're not sure what it is, just watch a video on the grids or griddings. And then the other thing I look into is, okay, are there any potential CALs here, TERIs, terminal illnesses, anything like that? Are they military, VPAT, things like that? Then I go to the final one, which is, okay, well, tell me about it. When was, the last time you stopped working? If you're still currently working, tell me about your job, things like that. Once we go through kind of that stuff, I've got a pretty good understanding as to where they're at on the map. Then we go into kind of the outside of the element stuff, which is, okay, well, who are you going to for medical? What is that doctor saying? Are you continuously going? When was the last time you went? How many times have you gone within the past 6 months? Stuff like that. A lot of you guys are not really that prepared with your first phone call for disability benefits. You haven't been to a lot of facilities. You haven't been able to complete a lot of tasks in that general regard. So that's, when you look at this situation, you're sitting back going, okay, so what are we missing? What do we need? Stuff like that. But that's basically the intro when I hear somebody on the phone, because when you see somebody in person, an initial meeting, you can go ahead and gauge a lot of the functions that are going on with this person. So, you can tell, okay, they're probably around this age. You can tell, well, they've got some sort of breathing issue. You can see that there's some surgery marks on their arms. You can see that there's something going on with their leg, or their ankle's really swollen. Or you can see these things and have a lot more questions that you can kind of bring forward to ask about the individual. So when I see people at the office, I do a literal once-over of their body. I'm looking for scars. I'm looking for abnormal stretches, abnormal marks, abnormal surgery marks. I'm looking for coloration of their eyes. I'm looking for maybe they're really, really gray, like their skin tone is really gray. Do I want to know if they're smoking? What illegal drugs are they using? What legal drugs are they using? Then I can do a lot more with that kind of scenario. But over the phone, when I send them the initial documentation thereafter to go ahead and fill out to begin the process, I'm missing the visual, like what do they look like? And it's important. Maybe one day we'll be to the point as a society where enough people will have phones that I can just go ahead and have them whatchamacallit, it's where they do like a video chat or whatever, so that I won't be doing just voice-based audio phone calls. But for right now, I get limited in that way when trying to do phone calls and interact with people and find out what their actual disabling conditions are. Now, with that said, I tend to remember what they said to me over the phone calls a bit better because I'm just focusing on the sound of their voice and the details that they're telling me. Otherwise, when I'm looking at somebody, trying to figure out what's going on with them, what's wrong with them, stuff like that, because I'll look at their arms to see if there's needle marks. I'll look at their fingernails to see if they're dusty, or if they're really thick, or if they have some sort of viral or fungal infection or some sort of germ issue or whatever. If they're coughing a lot, sneezing a lot, stuff like that, I'll look for those kinds of things. And that's realistically what I'm thinking during an initial phone call about having a future disability claim or client. I call it claimants, everybody else calls them clients. But so my point to you is, when it comes down to this scenario, try and be prepared to speak with the disability attorney. Now, when you pick a disability attorney, what I always tell people is, for any attorney, call 5 of them and have the same 5 questions that you're going to ask each one. The problem is that a lot of them are not going to be automatically readily available. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, I'm important, I'm a client. Yeah, you are, but they already have tons and tons of clients. That's how you found them online, because they're busy working. They become that standard in that area for the person that's hired for that stuff. Just like I have, people call in, and then I'll try to get back to them. Like I have to call about 15 people that just called from YouTube stuff on Friday and Saturday, and a couple on Sunday, to go ahead and talk about just random things. And these were all after 5 p.m. on, not Saturday, on Friday, when I said, okay, cool, now I'm taking a break. So bottom line is, just keep in mind, the attorneys are not always readily available right when you call. A. B, when they do get on the phone, make sure you're ready with your questions. And another thing is that make sure you connect with them. Picking an attorney is almost like, it's like quasi-dating somebody. You have that magical connection that occurs, when a guy looks at a female and the female looks at the guy, and all of a sudden, whoosh, there's that magic there, that, ooh, that's a potential. That's almost kind of the feeling. It's not exactly the same, but it's almost the kind of feeling without, the sexual aspect of it. But, when you're picking an attorney, you want it to be somebody who you have that connection with, that X factor, whatever you call it, that humanistic, approach to your particular problems, or whatever you want to call it. There's that connection, and that's what you want to listen to and listen for and look out for and things like that. So let's read the question again. What I'm thinking during, the computer just went blank. What I'm thinking during, what I'm thinking during the initial phone call with a future disability client. So my first initial phone call, that's what I'm thinking about, and the main focal point is whether or not this person is going to be able to fit into statute. So to put it another way, when I look at this client and I see, okay, this is, let's say it's a boat, right? And the boat needs to be cleaned, it needs one new engine, and it needs, replaced radar functions, and maybe some more LEDs. Like if I wanted to build this boat, I was like, okay, cool, it's got this an issue, but I can make this happen. It's just going to take this much time and this much money, and yada yada. Then that's a claim that you take, because you know what you're doing about that particular kind of situation. You work it, you build it into something that ultimately becomes, something that's really incredible, and then at that point you're good to go. In this case, it's not a product like a boat, but an actual service, presented to a claimant to get them through the federal government Social Security disability system. Okay. All right, so my name is Attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III. I'm with Disability Resolution PA, an Orlando, Orange County-based Social Security disability law firm in Florida. If you want a free consultation, the most up-to-date information, or a custom video made about a particular topic you like, that's fine. Shoot me an email or give me a call, and we will go from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.